This is Joe Carpenter. Today is June 7th, 2022, and I'm interviewing Master Sergeant Jeremy Hubacek for the first time. Sergeant Hubacek is the senior military instructor in the Military Science Department here at UTA. This interview is part of the Maverick Veterans Voices Project and is sponsored by the College of Liberal Arts. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Where are you from originally, and what can you tell me about your growing up?
Sir, originally I'm from Yucca Valley, California. It's about 2 hours away from Los Angeles. It's in the high desert. I grew up there most of my life. When I graduated from high school, I already signed up for the Army and knew that it was something that I wanted to do. So
where did you go to high school?
I went to high school at Yucca Valley High School there in town. It's the only high school located in the small town. So.
Okay. Were you involved in ROTC in high school?
No, sir. We did not have an ROTC program at our school, even though we had a 29 Palms Marine Base, which was about an hour away. I believe they had a small junior ROTC, but the town we had, there was no ROTC program offered.
And were any of your family members in the military?
None of my direct family members. My grandfather was in the Navy. Then I also had a uncle who was in the Army, and a cousin who was in the Air Force. And that was originally what brought me into the military. I went to go see the Air Force recruiter, who was never at my school. Army guy I was. Here I am now, 24 years later.
That's interesting. So you were originally thinking about going into the Air Force?
Originally I was going to go into the Air Force. Yeah, the recruiter was never there, though. So.
Why did you choose to come to the University of Texas at Arlington?
So for me, I did my first sergeant time at Fort Irwin, California, National Training Center. And once you complete your KD time, your required time in a leadership position, they give you an option to go and do a broadening assignment. And doing a ROTC was one of those broadening assignments. I originally was supposed to go to Spokane, Washington, and I ended up switching with a fellow first sergeant who was from that area, and which brought me here to the University of Texas at Arlington. My wife's originally from Texas, so I wanted to bring her closer back to home.
Sure. And how long have you been here now?
I've been here now for almost 4 years.
Wow. So did you attend college, and if so, where, and what was your major?
So, again, I enlisted right out of high school. Within that first 4 years, I started going to a community college near Fort Hood, Texas. I did some classes here and there, and then kind of dropped off of college once I started doing deployments. And then I actually picked it back up again once I got here. I'll retire in August of 2023, and when I retire, pretty much right on that date, I will have my bachelor's degree.
Great. And what is your bachelor's degree in?
That's going to be in organizational leadership with the University of Western Kentucky.
And why did you choose this major?
It kind of ties in with everything that the Army has taught me so far. It's within leadership, leading organizations, building teams. It all ties together. I have plenty of stuff to write about when I do my papers.
Right. And has there been anyone on the faculty who has influenced you?
Yes. So all of the professors of military science have helped me out one way or another. The most influential would have been Lieutenant Colonel Bella Bradick. She was here for a short time, but she really had the ability to build a team, build confidence within those team members, and we were thriving at the time. It was a really strong, tight-knit group of cadre here.
Is this your third?
This is my third professor of military science, yes.
Okay. And what was your branch or specialty?
My branch is armor, so I'm in tanks.
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. That's your experience.
So in the armor community, I've been in leadership roles all the way from a tank driver, tank gunner, tank commander. Then I was a platoon sergeant in Iraq in 2010. I really enjoyed that experience. Got to learn a lot. I've been overseas to Korea 3 times. Definitely one of the best overseas assignments I have had. Just opportunity to really get to know your soldiers and spend time with them. I've been blessed within the Army so far. I've gone several places, met a lot of really good people, and been influenced by good leaders.
And where did you do your training for?
The original training
Armor?
for Armor back in 1997 was at Fort Knox, Kentucky, before they moved the Armor school to Fort Benning alongside the infantry school.
And what was your first assignment after training?
My first assignment was at Fort Hood, Texas.
Oh, really?
So I've been to Fort Hood now 3 times. So I've pretty much now, being here at the University of Texas at Arlington, I've spent over half my career in the state of Texas.
Is that right?
So my residency changed back in '98. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And after all this training, did you feel adequately prepared for your duties as a young
yes.
enlisted person?
Oh, yes. Yes. Like I said, I've had a lot of good non-commissioned officers and officers that have taught me along the way. One of my most rewarding assignments besides this one was I taught Armor Basic Officer course at Fort Knox. So I taught the brand new lieutenants pretty much how to be, armor officers at Fort Knox, and that was a very rewarding position. And then what was even better was after that job, going and being a platoon sergeant, running into a lot of those officers that I trained, and that was rewarding. Seeing those guys later on and just watching them be successful. That's probably one of the best jobs I had. Like I said, this one's even better though. I still keep in contact with a lot of our young cadets who are lieutenants now, and they're doing well.
Yeah.
They're
This is
take
a good school
yeah.
to gain
Yes.
training as an officer.
Oh yes. We do our best with these kids.
Yeah. And you have been deployed overseas. How many times have you been deployed?
I've been deployed twice to Iraq. Once in 2003 for the initial surge going into Iraq, and then pretty much I helped close Iraq down in 2010-11. So it was kind of eye-opening, going initial invasion and then closing it down and giving it back to the people of Iraq. So,
What were the differences?
well, definitely rules of engagement were different, for sure. It was very, I guess, the Wild West per se in 2003. We're still learning rules of engagement and combat situations. And then in 2010, it was more of handing the country back to the Iraqis. My position there was we were part of the Preventional Reconstruction Team, so we basically were, I guess you could say, bodyguards for driving State Department individuals around to meetings and whatnot for them to help, give the Iraqis their country and show them how to better the country.
And so how long were you deployed
Each
each one of these
deployment
times?
was 1 year.
A full year.
Full year, yes, sir.
And were you married or in a relationship during this time?
Yes, so crazy. In 2000, I married my wife in 2002. She was pregnant when I left in 2003, and my son was born back in 29 Palms Marine Base, close to where my family's located. So she got to have my son there, and I think one of my most memorable times in Iraq was my colonel coming over, shaking my hand, handing me a cigar, and threw me in the back of his Humvee and drove me into the town of Bakuba, where they had their command post set up, where he was able to print off pictures of my wife and my son that I saw for the first time. So
Wow.
that was really awesome.
Yeah, I imagine it was. Next best thing to being there.
Yeah.
Now, your son was born on a Marine base, though?
So he was born on a Marine base because that was the closest military installation where she was at. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a future Marine then.
No, he's actually. I'm trying to talk him into coming here. He just graduated high school.
Oh, great. Okay.
He's in a Air Force Junior ROTC. We live in Burleson.
Okay.
So he was in a junior ROTC for the Air Force. So he's talking about enlisting in the Air Force. But I'm trying to talk him into at least doing a semester here at UTA. Even trying the ROTC program out. I can yell at him even more than I do at home. That's the one thing I wanted to do before
Sure.
before I retire. But
Right.
so I'm trying to explain to him, hey, look, you can follow in the path I went, but this is a little bit better. You'll make a little more money, be a little more beneficial for you if you go to college first.
Absolutely.
Don't be like Dad and do college last minute. So,
Right. Yeah, that's the way I did it as well.
Yeah,
yeah, I know what you mean. And you retire in August of
I'll
next year, you
retire
said?
in August of 2023. Yep.
Do you think you will gain another stripe by then?
No. It's,
This is it.
yeah, this is it. My plan right now is to retire and hopefully walk right onto a junior ROTC position within the DFW area.
Okay.
So yeah, I enjoy mentoring these young adults and just watching them grow, staying in
Right.
contact with them after they leave, and seeing how successful they can be.
And Master Sergeant's at E8, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've had a pretty successful
It's been
career.
it's been a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were telling me about your combat action badge, and
Yes, sir.
that was something that I wasn't familiar with. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the combat infantry badge. So in 2003, after the surge into Iraq, I guess the Army realized that, hey, not just infantrymen are doing all these combat operations, so they developed this combat action badge. So again, it's awarded for any soldier who is in direct combat, firefight with the enemy, wherever the case, in combat. So that, again, that's why the Department of the Army came up with that. So others besides infantrymen can have a badge, I guess.
Right. And I've noticed with the infantry soldiers that I have interviewed, when I ask them the question, were you awarded any medals or citations? The first one they name, if they have a CIB, the
Yep.
first one they name is that one.
Sure.
Does it have that kind of prestige in armor?
It does. It's the same thing. Same thing with with the Bronze Star. I had a conversation with a gentleman from who fought in Vietnam, and for us now, I was awarded the Bronze Star after my first deployment, and then again on my second. And during the second deployment, I think it's more of a once you reach a certain rank, kind of everyone got a Bronze Star. So I think my first one means more within the first year of us going into Iraq. It was a lot of sketchy situations that we found ourselves in. So, but again, talking with them, and I talked to this gentleman that after I got back from my deployment in 2004, he had a Bronze Star, and I talked to him about it, and just hearing his story and how he earned his Bronze Star, I told me I can't even touch that. So,
Right.
I mean, it's a lot different. It's a lot
Right.
different now. But combat action badge, it does mean a lot to me. I remember exactly how it happened, and
How did it happen?
so we were crossing a bridge going back to our small compound, and we came under RPG fire from a palm grove. The RPG hit the tank in front of me. We returned fire with our machine guns on top of the tank, and then it ended pretty quickly once we fired a main gun round towards the palm grove. Firing automatically stopped. So again, don't bring a knife to a tank fight per se. So
Right.
yeah.
So your Bronze Star, then your first Bronze Star, what?
It kind of tied into that. So during that deployment, we had multiple firefights with just insurgents, and then also I lost my company commander who was in the tank in front of me. We're coming around a corner, and the Iraqis put a IED in a guardrail. So when the guardrail went off, Captain Woods was in the tank in front of us, and it went through the part of the armor, and he got hit with shrapnel in the neck. So so we had to hurry up, and I was in the tank behind him. We hurried up and pushed back to the fob, and had air medevac and everything help get him off. And fortunately, he didn't make it once he was in the air. So
Right.
yeah.
that is one of the questions that I ask as we go along is, did you lose anyone close to
Yeah,
you?
so I kind of, I joke around. It's kind of a way with my last company commander when I was a first sergeant. I told him, hey, you don't want to deploy with me because again, I lost. Captain Wood was our awesome commander in 2003. We lost him, and then when I deployed again in 2010, my company commander went to Captain Van Camp went to another troop to take over for a short time, and he was killed by a rocket attack. So, yeah, I tell people you don't want to be a captain and go to combat with me.
Right.
I don't know,
Okay.
maybe a little bit of bad luck. I don't know.
You think you're the
Yeah,
and not exactly the rabbit's foot, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. But even in 2010, we still lost. I think 3 or 4 people within our squadron that just, the insurgents were getting smarter with their IEDs, and they were taking out some vehicles. So.
How does an IED take out a tank?
Well, so on the tank, it didn't necessarily take out the tank. It's just the tank's surrounded by so many inches of armor, depleted uranium.
Right.
But when that IED went off, it went through what we call a sponson box. It's on the side of the tank. It's where we store a lot of our equipment. And it's just, it's a thin aluminum. It's, it's not there to protect anything. And what happened was the IED went off, hit that, and part of the shrapnel from that aluminum sponson box is what hit him. And the problem was Captain Wood was a 6'5", so he stood a little higher than everyone else on the tank. So,
Oh, my
yeah, when he
goodness.
stood outside the hatch.
Oh, so he was outside the hatch when
Yeah.
this happened. Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
he was. If you're inside, most of the time an IED's not gonna harm a tank unless it's some really
Right.
big explosive.
Did you, in preparation for your trips to Iraq, did you receive any particular cultural training, any language training, anything like that?
Not necessarily. Well, in 2003 and 2010, when I deployed, we prior to deployment, we would get cultural awareness training. Again, we go over rules of engagement. We'd learn certain dialects and aspects of the language, and if we had to talk with the Iraqis, and yeah, they put us through. I would say at least two weeks of cultural awareness training prior to going overseas.
How did you communicate with your loved ones during this time?
So in 2003, it was a little hard.
Yeah.
We didn't have phones at first. We slept on our tanks for the first 6 months before we started
goodness.
getting we call them chews, the little Connex buildings that we would sleep in. So I was lucky. We had a civilian contractor who was part of General Dynamics, and he was assigned to our battalion to help with the maintenance of the tanks, and he had a satellite phone. And he knew my wife was pregnant, so like once a month he would kind of sneak that over to me, and I'd just give her a quick call.
that's
Mainly
nice.
it was calling cards, and I think there was one satellite phone for the entire battalion, and it would get passed around to each company each week. So that was the first start. And then in 2010, I had internet in my room, I had a phone in my room, so it was a lot easier.
Yeah, that's amazing how much
Technology.
that changed in
Technology, yep.
just a short amount of time. And are there any specific experiences or people that you remember that maybe on the lighter side of things? Things, the situations or people that made you laugh.
Oh, of course. Again, I've always had, I've had good and bad leaders, and I'll take away something from each one of them.
Sure.
I learned that I don't want to be like that individual. I'm going to do this. But I've had a lot of good command sergeant majors that have made the job a lot more interesting and enjoyable, just due to the banter and relationships that we had.
Yeah. Any specific stories that jump out at you?
I think one of the best ones. I recently had a Command Sergeant Major Williams, who is now the Fort Bliss command sergeant major. So he's definitely moved up on.
Yeah.
But he, it didn't matter what was going on. He would always be there with a smile, handshake. He was always there to talk. And I remember he chewed my ass one time for that a soldier that did something wrong, and we had to go stand on his carpet, and he gave me the ass chewing of a lifetime. And I ran into him 45 minutes later after work in the commissary. And he came up and shook my hand, talked to me like nothing ever happened.
Right.
So yeah, I mean the fact that you can turn that switch on and off like that,
Yeah.
I've tried to build that.
Yeah, that's a real leader.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's not personal.
No,
It's-
not
yeah.
personal.
And other than that, gentleman, who else has influenced you in your career?
I've had, again, lots of good officers, NCOs. The two captains that I lost in Iraq, those individuals were very influential to me as a leader. They were very family oriented, and I've taken a lot away from those individuals on how I wanted to lead soldiers. I think my most influential leader I had was one of my platoon sergeants I had during Iraq, Sergeant First Class Richardson, who's now retired and living in the Fort Hood area. He was the leader that, he would pay attention to his soldiers, and he would sit down with each of his soldiers and just really get to know them and understand them. So when something was wrong, he can pick that out and catch it and just be able to talk to you. And we had probably one of the strongest platoons in the battalion because of that man.
Did you witness or experience any sort of discrimination while you have been in the service?
In basic training, I remember, they teamed me up with a battle buddy. So my battle buddy was a very large African American man who was like a big teddy bear, just the nicest guy ever. And we had an individual who was, I think, from West Virginia, who's one of the most racist individuals I think I've ever met. And the drill sergeants took my battle buddy away from me and gave him to him. And they had a little scuffle at one point in time, and after that, they became best friends. So with the Army, you always hear everybody's green in the Army, which the Army is taught, and they teach us this. We get briefed on it every annual, with equal opportunity, but to be honest, just being in the military and being around so many different people, different cultures, it makes you appreciate people in general.
Right.
I mean, one of my best friends I still keep in contact with him. He's already retired. He was one of my staff sergeants that I had, African American. I have again, a couple of Korean friends that are soldiers still, and it's just, like I said, it's not about race or religion. It's just about the person.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably a switch, really, from the military, from, say, even 30 years ago.
Oh, of course.
And the decision to move your battle buddy from you to this other guy, that was intentional?
Oh, of course. Yeah, the drill sergeants knew what they were doing. And again, they had a little scuffle in the barracks one night, and after that, it was fine.
Yeah, that's interesting, but I think that's an intelligent way to approach that. Is there anything that reminds you of your service? Any sights or smells or sounds?
Of course, the flag. We're in Texas, so you find the American flag everywhere, and just seeing that and just being proud of serving my country. As far as smells, from deployments and stuff like that, every once in a while I'll catch a whiff of something, and it's like, whoa, a little bit of a flashback here and there. But again, I think coming into this job here at the university, I think it's definitely prepared me for kind of a transition into retirement. So, being in combat units and having that operational tempo of nonstop training, and this job definitely helped kind of calm me down a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, it's again, it's definitely a very rewarding job.
Yeah, but maybe a little less stringent on the military side.
I think so.
At least
well,
maybe
so-
not so much with your interaction with cadets,
Well,
but
yeah.
outside that the
So-
cadre would be.
Yeah, when I first arrived here, Colonel Doty was our professor of military science, and he kind of pulled me aside at first, and he's like, hey, you might want to kind of tone it down a little bit, because I was coming from being a tank company first sergeant where I yelled at everybody and things were done my way, and I'm used to being on a military installation. So
Sure.
my second day here on the university, I'm walking towards where we do physical training, and just I guess a college student walks by, and I tell him good morning. And he just walks right past, and the first sergeant came out of me, and I spun around. I was like, "Hey!" I said, "Good morning." And he turned around, and he took off running. So that kind of, I'm used to being on a military installation where if anybody tells you good morning, you automatically respond, and scaring off my first college student.
This was not somebody who was in the.
No, it wasn't even in the ROTC program.
Just a person.
So I had to really had to step back and tone it down a little bit. Language, I had to watch my language.
Right.
First year here.
Out on deployment, it's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So who have you remained in contact with that you've served with over your career?
So thanks to Facebook. So I keep in contact with mainly a lot of people from my last deployment. Most of the people I served with in 2003, most of them are all retired by now. I'm the dying breed of it, so I'll finally retire here soon. But again, I keep in contact with a lot of the ones that I had, from 2000, I would say 2008 and on. Still keep in contact with a lot of those individuals.
And mostly through Facebook.
Yeah, mostly through Facebook. Yeah, just little comments here and there, and
Yeah. And once you retire, do you see yourself participating in any veterans organizations?
Of course.
Yeah.
So again, being here in DFW area, when I do go home, I'll be in uniform at times, and I'll stop at the grocery store, stop at Sam's Club, and I have met some of the most amazing people. Some of the veteran clubs and societies that they have in the DFW they're amazing.
Yeah.
We deal with a lot of them on a weekly basis. And I think one of the best ones was we did of course, Veterans Day is really big in this area. So we usually go down to Mansfield and do a parade for Veterans Day in Mansfield, and then I did a ceremony over here at Veterans Park and met a lot of individuals from the Arlington Veterans Association here, and really good people.
And you've had a lot of association with the Cadet Corps Alumni Council
of
as
course.
well.
Yes.
And a lot of maybe legendary folks.
Well, there are some legendary. I mean, of course, every Latham is a legendary individual.
It seems to be.
So, General Latham, I've met him numerous times. His sons, of course, we have. I believe he's a colonel, Colonel Latham, with the bagpipes.
I've
seen
Mark.
him on numerous occasions.
Yes.
One of my favorites, I think, though, is Colonel Parker. So
yes.
Colonel Parker is a very, very rugged individual. So when I first met him, I kept looking at him. I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. And so it finally clicked this last time we did Hall of Honor. I walk up to him and I said, "Sir, I joined in 1997. I was assigned to Fort Hood. I worked in 3 Corps.
Yeah.
I was a driver for one of the sergeant majors up at 3rd Corps headquarters." And I was like, "Did you ever work up there?" And he's like, "Yeah. I was I think he's chief of staff of one of either the G3 or whatever the case." And I was like, "That's where I remember him. I think I had to drive you once." And I was like, "You're the biggest asshole I think I've ever met." And he's like, yeah, that sounds about right. I was like, all right, nothing's changed, sir. So I've enjoyed working with him.
Right. But he was a tanker too, wasn't he?
No, he was infantry.
He was the infantry.
But
Okay.
again, like I said, I remembered him from somewhere, and sure enough, he was in 3 Corps when I first.
And you remembered him as being an asshole.
Oh yeah. And I told him, I told him.
He does strike you as a pretty intense guy.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
But he's done a lot for the university, a lot for the program.
Yes.
Again, he was in charge of every Hall of Honor that I've been a part of. Even when we had to do the virtual Hall of Honor during COVID time frame, him and I put it. I helped him get the cadets ready, and we did a virtual Hall of Honor in College Hall, and it went very well.
Yeah. Tell me about your experience with UTA and UTA's legacy with the military.
So again, with UTA, it's one of the. I think we're probably gonna be going on 3 years now, but it's been awarded 2 years in a row for being the most veteran-friendly university in the United States. So I've talked with Mr. Coombe on many occasions on just what the university does for veterans, and he has put together an amazing program that is here to help veterans. Help our cadets. We've tried to mend some of our cadets and veterans together, just so the cadets can understand and learn from some of these veterans.
Right.
And then, of course, with the upcoming Medal of Honor Museum coming into Arlington, we've talked a couple times in works of putting cadets and veterans together to help participate in events there at the Hall of Honor Museum once it opens up.
Right.
But again, this university is always open to veterans, just through the different university presidents. Each and every one of them that I've met, they are veteran friendly, willing to do anything for veterans in the community. So again, University of Texas at Arlington is definitely one of the best schools you can go to for a veteran.
And our newly minted President Emeritus, Dr. Spaniola, has been particularly outstanding in his support of.
Yeah, I think he left before I got here, but I heard nothing but good things about him.
Yeah, he's really been engaged in the Veterans Affairs on campus. So you mentioned a little bit what you might like to do once you retire. So expand on that a little bit more.
So I think my plan is to, I enjoy teaching and mentoring, whether it's soldiers, young cadets, young adults. So I'm looking at kind of moving over towards the junior ROTC within the local high schools in the DFW area. I think that's my calling. So it's either that, or of course we have the legendary Colonel Smith, who was our recruiting officer. He's supposed to retire around the same time I am. So I've mentioned that I might throw my name in the hat for that position. But again, between the two, I'll figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
Right.
I got to figure it out quick.
Right. Now, if you had the chance to do it all over again, would you do it all over again?
I would absolutely do it all over again.
What would you change?
Of course, I've missed events throughout my life. I was deployed during the birth of my son. I think my wife and I figured out between my 20, by the time I retire, it'll be 26 years. I think we've spent less than half of that time together. The military is a little rough on families, but again, if you have a strong relationship and strong marriage and strong family, you can get through anything. And my wife is definitely the glue that held my family together. She's a very independent woman.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
I don't mess with her.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I would like to definitely be there for a lot more family events. And
sure.
It's one of the benefits of this job is, as cadre here at UTA, we are home almost every night. We go to the field, you know, twice a year, and of course we go to Fort Knox, Kentucky for the summer. But again, this is definitely a job it's going to help prepare me for the civilian side once I do retire.
Right.
But going back to your question, what would I change? I think I would leave most of it the same, because I you know, that's what made me who I am.
Yeah.
These learning experiences, these struggles, that's who I am because of what I've gone through.
Tell me a little bit about your wife, if you don't mind. What
Sure.
does she work outside the home?
Yes. So
What does she do?
my wife Chastity, she, you know, raised our two boys, and then once we got to California, when I was stationed at the National Training Center, I was about 2 hours away from where my family was, in Yucca Valley. So she decided to move my kids closer to, you know, their grandparents, and she started working as a teacher's aide in the education system there. And now she's going on 10 years with education. She has a love for children and kids. So once we got here, she picked up working again in Burleson, and then right now she's picked up a job in Mansfield. So she's continuing on with
Very good.
with the education piece, and right now she loves the outdoors. Right now she's actually at Dinosaur Valley State Park. She wanted to go camping prior to me going on leave next week. And we're gonna go head towards San Antonio, San Marcos area. And I told her I'm not going camping unless there's water. So it's too hot. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, my wife is definitely what held our family together.
Yeah.
Just during my time in the military. So.
Well, you mentioned she's very independent.
Oh, very independent.
That's probably a strength that
Yes.
is necessary for a military spouse.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
What advice do you have for young people entering the military today? Let's say that it's a young person who is entering as an enlisted person,
Okay.
for instance. What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I think everyone joins the military for various reasons, whether it's, you know, to serve your country, even to, you know, join the military to help you pay for college later on.
Yeah.
I think what I would offer is just learn from the people that you work with. Being in the military, you work with so many different people from all walks of life, and I think that's the best part about being in the military, is just the people that you get to work with, learn from, who, you know, become your mentor. It's just it's amazing, and it just I would just say is learn from everybody you meet.
I have an observation. I was at the commissioning ceremony just recently, this last one, and the first salute.
Yes.
You had more silver dollars
I have
out of
quite
that
a few.
first salute.
So I mess with these soon-to-be young lieutenants. That's how I pay my electric bill, is through the silver dollars that they give me. So it's a tradition. The first salute
Yes.
is a tradition that's gone back, centuries. The newly promoted officer gives their first salute to an enlisted soldier,
Yes.
and then passes that silver dollar.
Right.
Yeah, again, I keep in contact with all of these lieutenants now, and I have all the silver dollars lined up, and I can tell you, each one who it came from. So kind of a touching note on that. When I first got here, my very first salute I gave was to a young lieutenant, and unfortunately I returned that silver dollar back to his father. Last year he passed away during a training incident. So that was when I handed that silver dollar to his father, that meant a lot to him. But again, that's it's all about memories. Memories and just people you serve with.
But why did they choose you?
I think some of them had, of course, fathers, which my ultimate goal would be to be my son's first salute.
Right.
If I'm trying to talk him into coming here to UT
Yes.
Arlington, he just recently graduated, so I can yell at him here and I yell at him at home. So,
Yeah. It's like the best of both worlds.
yeah, I think just because of what I've offered these young students and officers, just the time, patience, and mentorship.
But they choose you, right?
Yes, yes.
So there may be an opportunity for them to choose a relative
Sure.
or something else, but they've chosen you, and that's a
It feels good.
that's impressive.
Kind of catches your heartstrings.
Yeah, I imagine it does,
Yeah.
and you don't spend the money.
No, it never will. It stays. It'll be on a shelf, and that's where it goes. And it's neat. Some of these cadets when they commission, some of the silver dollars I see are amazing. One of them, Lieutenant Lamb, when she commissioned, she handed me her silver dollar, and it's a silver dollar with a soldier on it. So yeah, I've never seen that in my life.
I haven't either.
Yeah, and there's a few. Some of these kids, I don't know where they get these silver dollars, but I have some that are pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very touching, though. Let me ask you. This is backing up a little bit to your days in Iraq.
Sure.
And if this is too sensitive, then let me know. PTSD is a real deal.
Oh, it definitely is.
And you've seen your share of soldiers, those that you've served with, you've seen them be killed. How do you deal with that?
Coming back from Iraq in 2004, PTSD, it was a thing, but it wasn't really planned out, and there wasn't a lot of information about it.
Sure.
I spent 4 years after I came back from employment at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I was angry a lot. I didn't know why. My marriage started to crumble a little bit. I just really couldn't build a strong connection with my children. And then finally, I think my father, he said, you might have PTSD. So I went, and my wife and I went to counseling and figured out that I have some stuff going on, and I've gone through counseling. I'll be honest, I've been on medication since 2007. I'm a strong believer that stuff works. I still, from time to time, I'll get high anxiety in crowds and whatnot.
Yes.
But for the most part, I've learned to deal with it, and the key thing is to talk about it.
And thank you for being so direct, because this is one of the things that's near and dear to me.
Yes.
Particularly after how we left Afghanistan, and it's not far removed from how we left Vietnam, and counseling used to have such a stigma.
It did. Even 5 to 10 years after my first deployment, it was still something you're kind of hesitant to bring up because you didn't want it to affect your career in the military. And now, Army leaders now they push it. They want you to bring it up. They want you to seek help. And there's so many programs and people to talk to them within the Army now that it's. I'm glad they finally, realized that the struggle that was going on with soldiers coming back from multiple deployments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, well, I appreciate you being so straightforward about that, because it's such an important issue. Is there anything that you would like to cover that we have not covered? Anything you want to tell me about?
No, I think the Veterans Voices is an amazing thing that this university does. Again, UT Arlington is very veteran friendly. The fact that you are recording this, these interviews, especially with our alumni, It means a lot, and all I can do is hope that you guys continue to do this and just build the alumni within the university and those who have been part of the military, that these young cadets can see this later on when they come back.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because it's been the joy of a lifetime for me to be able to participate in this. I meet so many wonderful people, and well, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being open about your experiences. I do want to ask you one last thing. Back to your awards, your medals and citations. Other than the CAB, Bronze Star, first Bronze Star, what are you most proud of?
I think, the Iraqi campaign medal. Of course, you're awarded the Bronze Star, the Combat Action Badges, the CIBs, but just the Iraqi campaign medal it shows that you were there. You were there to help people in another country, help them build a better life, and just make a difference, with people from another country.
What you're saying is Iraq was a noble cause.
Yeah, I mean, we're there. So if you're going to be there, you might as well do your best to leave it better than when you found it. We've lost a lot of men and women for that cause. So.
And how has that changed or reinforced your opinion of those deployments, or even although you weren't deployed to Afghanistan, even a situation like Afghanistan, have your opinions, feelings changed about those deployments?
So of course, when we left Iraq, the day we drove out to go get on a plane, insurgents went and they burned down the library, the mayor's building, everything that we built that year. It was all on fire when we left. So that hurt. That really, it's like, why did we do this? What difference did we make? But I think you touch other people in different ways. I dealt with a lot of we go to schools and pass out soccer balls and food or whatnot, and I think the kids, the young adults, are the ones I think if we did anything to help better them, then I think it was a success.
That's an excellent answer. We see the big picture, but we don't see the individuals.
You don't see the small stuff. Right. All you see is the stuff on TV, the political aspect of it. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's an excellent answer. Once again, thank you for your time.
I truly appreciate the invite.
And thank you for your service. It's an honor to have you participate in the program, and look forward to getting some more folks from the Military Science Department on.
I'll drag my PMS over here next.
Please do.
Colonel Keating's next on the list.
Yes,
All right.
as she should be.
Yes.
Thanks very much. All right.